Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Christopher Woodward. I'm a course director in the Entertainment Business Master's Program here at Full Sail University. Welcoming you guys here today. Got a presentation that honestly I'm very excited about because I've watched all of these guys go from being Full Sail students to employees with World Wrestling Entertainment. For the last 5 years, Full Sail has had an amazing relationship with WWE. Obviously, we produced our NXT show right here on campus. And the gentlemen that I'm going to be bringing up on stage today were all students who had an opportunity with the WWE NXT Student Initiative to work side by side with an amazing company. And they've managed to turn that into employment with that company. So I'm going to bring them all up here. First up, we have WWE Merchandise Representative Casey Garcia. Next up, we have WWE social media producer Anthony Cairo. The newly hired, and I mean newly hired, marketing manager for the Midwest for WWE, Harrison Herbst. And WWE NXT marketing coordinator, Teddy Panagiotopoulos. So, have a seat, guys. Thank you for coming. Appreciate you coming.
Thank you for having us.
So, the first thing, obviously, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you being here. 5 years ago, I was asked to be the faculty advisor for the WWE NXT Student Initiative. And I said, sounds great. What is that? And nobody really knew what this relationship was going to do, what kind of form it was going to take. WWE was coming here to produce a show, but they had no idea, well, where's this gonna grow? What's gonna happen? You guys played a big part in making this relationship what it is today, and you've somehow managed to turn this into very nice opportunities for yourself. But I wanna go back pre-Full Sail, because I think there's a misconception sometimes that when you're involved with a company like World Wrestling Entertainment, you must be a lifelong fan. You must be somebody that's watched it your whole life, and you know who wrestled Andre the Giant on May 3rd, 1976 at Madison Square Garden and things like that. So I just want to kind of go down the line. When was, if you can even remember, the first time you ever even encountered or heard of WWE? I'll start you.
Well, I definitely, as a kid, watched. I think everyone did. And then throughout high school, kind of grew out of it. Like we said, I bartended. My dad was ill, so I was at home, took care of him at the house. And then I saw WWE sign the contract here at Full Sail. And then from there, my now fiance became pregnant. So I had to make a decision real quick. So I guess came to Full Sail as a school. Happened to be, we're in a class, and they showed a volunteer group that you can get involved with. And that's all it was just to get involved. Never dreamed it'd turn into this.
So really, I mean, you were not super fan. You were not,
No.
I'm coming here for a job there. You were just, it was an opportunity out of school you were attending, and you took it.
Correct.
Anthony.
So the first time I saw WWE, it actually interrupted my Saturday morning cartoons. And yeah, basically I didn't know what to make of it when I first saw it. And then I saw Shawn Michaels, and I definitely became a fan from then. There were quite a few years where I kind of stopped following the product. But right before I came over to Full Sail, I actually kind of got back into it and became a fan again. And then I just so happened to hear about this program, and here we are.
See, so no one fill in. Harrison?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm probably the least WWE fan in the group. I didn't really watch it when I was growing up. I was into football and golf, which shocks a lot of people. But I went to this school, got into sports marketing program, and just heard about the opportunity to work with such a great company, and it's something I just had to be a part of. I didn't really was a fan, and I've actually become a fan since being able to work with these guys and see how everything goes.
Cool.
For me, I have watched since I was a kid. There's no surprise there. But for me, I came here to Full Sail because, yes, there was the partnership with WWE and Full Sail, but for me, it was getting a degree in the entertainment industry, and I wanted to get involved in sports and entertainment. But yeah, since I was a kid, I watched WWE, and then as I've gotten older, I'm from Massachusetts, so I'd watch the Red Sox, Patriots, Celtics, all that stuff. But yeah.
So since you obviously were an admitted fan, and you were a fan from early on,
Yes.
has there ever been that one moment where somebody's walked past you backstage, you're like, the question,
Yeah.
and you've kind of gone, wow, that's him. He's biting his tongue. He doesn't want to admit it.
No, it was when I first got here that there was one instance, but overall, I know how to maintain my professionalism and keep it, my fandom in my back pocket. That was never an issue working these events and whatnot. But there was an instance where, like the Undertaker was here. I was like, oh, that's the Undertaker. Other than that, it's,
Now, Anthony, with your role, you're really up close.
Yeah.
You're working right alongside these people. Has there ever been that moment? And obviously, you conduct yourself as a professional.
Yes.
But internally, has there ever been that moment where you're like, 12-year-old me is going nuts right now?
And meeting anyone from the McMahon family was just insane for me. Just not only because they own the company, but just I've followed them for so many years. It's crazy. And of course, seeing the Undertaker was pretty cool too.
I wasn't here that day. I missed the Undertaker.
It was a big day.
I
Yeah.
know, all right, and I missed it. I was a fan from the time I was a kid, which is something that, I loved it as a kid. I grew up around it. I was in the industry for years before I came to Full Sail. Kind of got pulled back into the industry a little bit thanks to you guys. But I think it's important for students because the people watching this right now, they're in a position that you all were in. They're students. They're looking for opportunity. They're looking to get involved. Some of them are not familiar with the WWE product. Some of them are very familiar. Some of them are very passionate about it to the point where we have students now enrolling in this school saying, I want to work for WWE. I love WWE. And something that we kind of is almost a mantra in the group that you were a part of is you can be a fan, you got to put it in your back pocket. Mm-hmm. You have to be a professional. You have to conduct yourself in a professional way. In your experience since then, what advice would you give to the super fans? It's my dream to be part of WWE. What advice would you give them as they look to pursue a career with this company that they're so passionate about, even though they're not involved with it yet?
You have to put it in your back pocket, and that can be said in any sports industry. I don't know if it's football, basketball. One of the hardest things about my job is we're at all these arenas. A lot of basketball teams play there. Next thing you know, here comes a basketball player in the back going to work out. You still have to keep that in your back pocket. It is noticeable within a company, especially ours. You know right away who the fans are, and even your coworkers will watch you and lay into you. There's not that same excitement is what will drive you though to get work inside the industry. So you use that as motivation, but you got to know what professionalism is. That you have to stay professional under all circumstances.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. I work with all of the talent on Raw and SmackDown every week. I'm with them 3, 4, 5 days a week sometimes. And I can tell you firsthand that a lot of these guys are very picky about who they let come and work with them, especially in my position being a social media producer. We have a lot of specific asks that we need for them for, our social media activations, for our .com, and even for content for the WWE Network sometimes. And I'm sure, Casey can, fill in more about this, but, there are certain guys who can sniff out a super fan very, very well. Guys like John Cena, if they see you trying to sneak a picture, take your phone, boop, delete that.
Quickly.
It's just, you really need to, like Mr. Woodward was saying, you really need to put your fan in the back pocket whenever you're conducting yourself, especially within WWE. I mean, really with any company, but WWE specifically, it's very hard to be a big fan and to really get the work done that you need to be. So you got to have 2 different sides to yourself, I guess.
When it comes especially to all 4 of us were part of the initiative, here with, Full Sail. And one thing I always try to tell, initiative members coming in is you got to remember, you're representing yourself, you're representing the school, and then you're representing WWE. So, and Full Sail's teachers and professors all tell you that, you guys are making yourself as a brand. Like, you guys are your own sort of brand. And if you can't be professional and you cannot sit there, again, we'll say it probably a lot, put it in your back pocket, then people are going to realize that quickly, and opportunities, that arise in WWE might not happen for you if you cannot, learn to be, respectful, responsible, and professional at all times.
Right. And think of it this way also, guys. If you're going for a touring position with WWE, whether it be in production or social media or video or whatever you're trying to go for on the road, most of the people that are on the road are very tired. We work very, very early hours. Most days from MCO, I leave at 5 in the morning, sometimes 3 in the morning. I'm getting up to go on these flights, and a lot of these people are very worn down in their tour. So the last thing they want is somebody asking for an autograph or someone asking for a picture when you're supposed to be working to help their character progress or to help the storyline progress. So it's definitely good to keep yourself grounded. Even if you are the biggest Brock Lesnar fan out there, you just got to do it. You got to keep it in the back pocket, and you just got to be a professional.
But at the same time, use it as motivation. Understand your surrounding. Know where.
Exactly.
Again, I watch as a kid, so there's something I stop and I look. I'm like, man, I'm working for the WWE. Like I said, I bartended before. Now I'm surrounded where I have, one, tons of responsibility, but two, just appreciate. I have a lot of fan interaction with different booths that I'm involved in, and the number one thing is you're lucky for the job you have. So all because you are a fan doesn't mean, look, every event, and Anthony can, back this up, the main event comes on. It can be Raw, it could be TakeOver, especially a pay-per-view. You'll see all the employees lined up.
We all watch.
By the ring, because out of appreciation. Because then now it's not so much you're a fan, now you relate to these guys and what the work they put in every day. You're motivated to, like you said, build your own brand and be a part of it.
I want to touch upon individually kind of what you guys do, but I want to start at the end with what Teddy and Harrison have done. Now, obviously, Harrison, you literally were just hired today as marketing manager for the Midwest.
Congratulations.
So
Thank you.
I'm not sure you really understand what your job is yet. So
Absolutely not. I have no idea. I don't know why they gave it to me.
Put you on the spot with that.
Neither do we.
But a position that you and Teddy have held with WWE is that of WWE NXT marketing coordinator. Mm-hmm. That position was created, was an outgrowth of the relationship with Full Sail and WWE. That position is essentially the person who is helping groom the next group of Full Sail students, the next group of potential WWE employees. I wonder if you could just take us through what like a typical show day was like for you when you were the marketing coordinator. You want to flip a coin to see?
Yeah, you can go
first.
No, it's a long day depending on where you're traveling to too. We would start here in Orlando, and if we're going to Venice or Jacksonville, that's a 2.5-hour hike each way. So you would leave. After we get together, noontime, we'd meet up with the team members or 1 o'clock or whatnot, and then that 2.5-hour ride to a venue that far, set up the show, all the responsibilities that we had to do, and then doors open, show, break everything down, leave it as leave as you walk in, with the venue, and then you're leaving the show at 10:30, sometimes even later, depending on how things ended, and then you're back on the road for that 2.5-hour ride, and it's a long day, but it's a fun experience too, and it changes. If there's 3 shows on a weekend, you're going to 3 different venues. It's 3 different. No 2 events are the same. So you're always on your toes. It's always a good experience.
Harrison, maybe you could expand on what are some of those responsibilities at every show that you guys were setting up and breaking down with the Full Sail students?
So we do almost all the business aspects of a show. So the selling of the tickets, the social media, we're doing pictures, and Full Sail students are doing this. They're helping us. We bring around 8 Full Sail students with us a show. And you're doing merchandise, you're selling and counting in merchandise and counting out. Again, box office will call, you're scanning tickets, you're helping set up the event. It's something I definitely enjoyed a lot. People would say, oh man, you're you're going to the big, you're about to work shows with thousands and thousands of people, but I'm still going to enjoy Crystal River at 120 people, biggest, loudest fans if we got 120, as being a part of that. I mean, that is your event. Like, and you have to, all the responsibility, and you want to make sure that you're helping each Full Sail student, volunteer, the wrestlers. You want to make sure the whole thing just goes as smooth as possible. So, it's a lot of fun. It's different.
Although I just got a memo. Superstars.
Yeah.
Not wrestlers.
Superstars.
Superstars.
Still a rookie.
Yeah,
Still right.
see, it's his first day.
Yeah. Technically not. Got a couple more weeks.
And obviously, we here at Full Sail appreciate what you guys brought to the table, because you're the one that guided these student volunteers and gave them those opportunities to learn, just like you had before and whatnot.
Yeah, I ripped tickets 2 years ago, man. I was ripping tickets, making sure that you were allowed to be at that event.
And it had to be right on the perforated line, right?
Exactly.
Too?
You had to fold it and cut it and then rip the actual seat so you don't know where they sit.
All right, so now let's flip over to something that's totally different. And Anthony, a day in the life of a social media producer on the road with WWE, is there a typical day?
Yeah, for the most part, it's pretty similar about how we go about things each time. But before I get into that, funny story. I actually used to rip tickets for Harrison and Teddy both. So keep that in mind, guys.
When he didn't do something right, I made him do push-ups.
Exactly. Maybe run a couple laps around the building. But back to a typical day. Basically, like I said before, usually my day starts on Thursday or Wednesday, depending on what kind of events we have going on throughout the week. I'll get up at 3:30, 5 in the morning, 7 in the morning, head to MCO, and then wherever the events are, that's where I go. For a social media producer, since I'm kind of technically the low man on the totem pole as far as the social media world goes. All of the superstars and everybody know my face, know what we do, but I'm still the new guy to everybody. So I go in and I get them all their food and drinks and everything set up and get to the venue, make sure a program we use called Spreadfast is working correctly, and that is when we have big screens up, like this beautiful screen over here. We got our big screens up at the venues, and we make sure all of the fan engagements are going up on the screen to make it look real cool and fun for the fans. And then we get into the fun stuff, which is the show. So for anybody that's actually watched WWE, the guys running around the ring with the cameras and the videographers, everybody, I'm essentially that guy, but with an iPhone. So it's something new. WWE is revolutionizing the way we use our social media. We're honestly one of the strongest social media brands in the world right now. I dare not make a guess at how many subscribers that we have, but I want to say it's at least over 700 million across all of our platforms, which is...
That's a lot of people.
It's very wild. It's a lot of eyes on you at all time. It's a lot of pressure.
The picture you're taking...
Yep.
With that iPhone at ringside,
yes,
is potentially going to be seen by 700 million people.
Yes.
No pressure.
No pressure at all, right? Get that good shot, right?
Yes.
No pressure.
Yes, exactly. So most of my day is spent making content, whether it's in the show or whether it's through marketing initiatives, helping out people like Harrison, making sure we sell shows in little towns in Illinois. If they need AJ Styles or Seth Rollins or even John Cena to make a video hyping up that event, they have us do that. And we also work with merchandise, so I'm sure Casey can tell you a little bit about his day.
Now, merchandise, to me, in this day and age, because one of the big hot topics in entertainment is, where does the revenue come from now? The music business, has totally changed their business model. And television is totally changing. The way people are consuming their content has changed. So much has changed. But one of the constants when it comes to revenue generators in entertainment is merchandise. Merchandising, the old Spaceballs line, where the real money is made, merchandising. So you're in charge of merchandise. So WWE is making a lot of money off of you doing your job right. So
To a point, my bosses. Hold on, in this case, I got some very good bosses.
Yeah. We
all the
both
credit, all the blame now, right?
Yeah,
So,
all the blame. There we go. Have you met my bosses?
so take us through what you do as the merchandise representative for WWE.
So getting involved, I would have never guessed what merchandising was in a venue standpoint. And that could be on the band side, wrestling side. I would have never guessed. I'm thinking merchandising. I'm thinking a store. You know, I've been to a concert or a wrestling show there. I see that they got some shirts sold up, set up, selling. I would think, I don't know if that's WWE selling that. I don't know if that's that building selling that. I would have never thought of that. So a typical day with the merchandise, you start off, again, depending on if you're flying to a city, that 5 o'clock a.m. flight, you know it very well.
It's no joke.
For merchandise, we normally got to be at a building by 12. So our first priority is what is being sold at the store. So that can even begin at planning. WWE ships all their merchandise into that building. So what you see at a show, WWE, there's somebody has sat behind a computer, put a spreadsheet together, and figured out how much of each shirt they need to be there, how many trinkets they need there, who your top sellers are. Because most venues can hold about 10 shirts. As you know, our roster is much bigger than 10. So it's a lot of tipping around some people's toes because people get upset. Hey, why is my shirt up there? It's a business. I can hold 10 shirts, but I got a great WWE shop that you can buy anything you want on. But so you start in, and the building actually is responsible for selling. So basically, you have about 5 pallets brought in, and now you got to count it in. So you can agree on how much gross of that product that you're starting with. Technically, you're consolidating that product to the building. Count it in, agree on $50,000. Now that side of it is responsible by the building. The building is selling it. It is their merchandise. We check displays, we make sure prices are right, but now that is their product.
And so it's their vendors, the
Their
building
vendors,
vendors,
it's,
building
yes,
people
building,
hawking it.
Yep, so say here at Amway, they have a couple great guys, Tom Chase, that is their building. When we go to Tampa, they have their own. They're ran by the same team that does their Tampa Bay Lightning merch. That is their building. That is their merch. They sell it. We disagree on the starting price. Well, that's when the fun starts. Now we go backstage, because now everyone that comes to the ring, they wear their gear. So that is our next responsibility. To clarify, Andrew said he sets up food. We have catering. He doesn't set it. He's not the guy out there setting up. They lure people to social media with candy so they take pictures.
It's true.
At merch, we don't do that. We don't get the candy jar. So they're normally running to us right before they got to get on TV for a shoot or go out to the ring. They need their shirt. They need their wristbands. Whatever goes along with their character at that moment. So we have a storage of traveling case that we have for that. At the same time, we have other people on our team working, say, hand-to-hand with John Cena on the next shirt that's coming out, because he has a shirt that comes out every quarterly. So now we have someone on the road that deals with them, dealing directly with the talent on the concept from there. So now all your guys got your merch. You think the show's over. Show ends around 11. Now you got to go back upstairs. Now you got to count out all the merchandise that's left, because now the building that you consolidate it with, say you start with 50,000, you count it left, there's 20,000. Now this building owes WWE 30,000 to make up for the difference, whether cash or credit. So our day normally ends around 1 o'clock in the morning. Needless to say, then you got to drive 2 hours to the next city or hotel, start all over again at 12.
That's on a good week.
It's a long day. And I can imagine that maybe on occasion there's a shortage or shirts magically walked away.
That's why it's the building. No matter what we counted in, you owe us. This is what's left. This is what you owe us. But
yeah, you go find out where that shirt walked away to.
So but Karen and Mr. Ward were saying how it's changed and where Full Sail is a great opportunity, especially WWE is trying something different. And Taylor Swift, some other bands have tried it as well, where we call it Shop Express. This is what I actually got hired on the road to travel for. Basically, you can pre-order your merchandise, have it ready at a show. You get there, I have it bagged up, you're ready to go. Or during the show, long lines are happening. You can order it right from your phone, skip all the lines, and just come pick it up. That is what we are trying to revolutionize to where technology got brought in. You never know in any company or any situation, I would have never thought Full Sail technology selling shirts. But that's what bridged my gap. Anything's possible.
And again, we're talking about revenue. We're talking about money being brought in by this company. And you think about it, I'm sure a lot of people watching right now, they've had that experience. You go to the concert, right? Well, do I buy my shirt before the concert, after the opening act, after the show is over? Well, if I wait too long, they're gonna be out of my size. They're not gonna have any more of that shirt left. Well, wait a minute, if I can order it and have it, I know it's there.
Correct.
So I know that whenever I go pick it up, it's there, and I get the merch I wanted, the size I wanted. I didn't have to settle for what was left. So again, you're thinking in terms of the customer, in terms of that final consumer.
Correct.
But that said, I have to bridge back for a minute. You're taking a photo or a video of a WWE superstar that might be seen by potentially 700 million people. You have to offer them candy to get them to come and do the picture? Really?
So, like I was saying before, we have a lot of pretty rigorous tour schedule for the most part. So a lot of people can be grumpy at times. So that kind of just eases them into it. And you have to think, there are some guys that have been there 10 plus years, and social media just isn't really I wouldn't say a priority, because that sounds bad, but it's just not something that they use too much in their everyday life. So we kind of push them along a little bit,
And that's where the catering comes in.
Of course.
Push them in there a little catering.
Hey, catering helps.
We got candy. Come on, come get it for us. Come get it for us. Let's talk about the fans for a minute. Obviously, it's the lifeblood of the entertainment industry. You have no fans, you have no consumers, you have no revenue, you have no business. Obviously, WWE relies on their fan base like any entertainment business. Talk to me a little bit about what it's like interacting with the fans. Now, obviously, Anthony, you're more social media, you're a little more removed in some ways from that direct interaction. You, and position that you guys held, you have the fans right in your face. Mm-hmm. What is, and feel free to share a humorous story or a scary story, if you will, but what's it like when you're dealing with these passionate WWE fans?
From the merch side, passion is number one.
Oh yeah.
It's definitely wild, for sure.
It's from a merch perspective, though, especially I'm trying to think of how it would correlate to my job. It is funny because you'll go into these other buildings that their vending crew are there, and they're like, oh man, I just had Kid Rock's concert. Nothing bad at Kid Rock, I'm just using that as an example, first thing to pop in my mind. And they're like, their fan base was so rude, or it was a country act, and that all they were doing was drinking. They weren't really spending money. The number one thing that I has ever heard about the WWE fan base from my perspective, man, you have the nicest fans. They will wait as long as they need to. They will not argue. Yeah, they'll be like, can I see this one, this one, this one, this one, this one? Every job has something you can critique on some, but the number one thing is they are the most patient, passionate, and caring fans. And that is what I see from my side of where I see it constantly. My best story is I've done it a couple of times, and I'll use Becky Lynch as an example. There was a fan, we were in New York, and she had just got started. It was one of her live events just on the road, and there was a fan that was dressed up like her and had a poster. Before he got there, I couldn't send it to him, so I took a picture, and I sent it to Becky. Becky's reaction was priceless. She put it up on her social media. That mom came running back out to me and just gave me the biggest high five ever. That was one of the coolest things I ever saw, because you really understand the business model of being PG when you see these kids just fall in love. So I think that's, maybe they can touch a little bit more, is the caveat between kids and grown men. There's a big mixture in there.
We kind of saw it on the, we deal with them when there's a problem. We call it putting out fires. So sometimes we see, some interesting sides. I was a little bit worried for the first show I ever did. I thought fans are gonna wrestle each other and throw each other on tables, and chairs were gonna be thrown. And like Casey said, we have some of the most patient, most respectful fans that I have ever seen. And I've been to almost any sporting event that you can imagine. You really learn to start doing it for what Casey said, is the kids, man. I mean, you see how happy they are, how excited they are, especially when you can help benefit them and do something special for them, and you see how excited they get. That's why you enjoy it, and that's why I enjoy it. My job is to make sure that the fans are having the best time in the world, so they're buying merch and they're buying tickets to come back. Crazy stories. some of the outfits some of these people wear are very interesting. I mean, some of these venues get cold. Like I'm wearing a jacket, and this guy's in there.
Pirate gear.
Yep. Just sitting there, pirate gear.
Yep, I remember that.
I saw the pirate guy, and they're just wearing these outfits where I'm like, more
might be
power
looking for
to
attention,
you.
maybe.
Yeah, but
We did have some bunnies thrown out of Orlando one time. Do believe it goes both ways, but some guys dressed as bunnies got thrown out of the Orlando venue.
Oh, really?
I wasn't there for that.
Neither was I.
Bunnies.
To add to what these guys are saying, I've never seen more passionate or loyal fans than the NXT fans, especially with these Florida shows. I'm sure all of these guys can say that on a 3-show loop, it could be Jacksonville, Tampa, and Fort Pierce, 3 opposite sides of the state, and you'll see the same fan come to each show that weekend. I'm there because it's my job. I have to be there, but they're there because they love it, and that's what. Especially here with NXT, with these shows being in Florida, they see talent develop, and they see them, grow from just starting out to going on to Raw, to going on to SmackDown, to WrestleMania. So it's more passion. That's not really, they're just very passionate, even more so here than,
connection.
Exactly.
Really. It's that emotional connection.
Exactly. There's that emotional connection.
Watching them rise up through the ranks. And that is amazing when you think about it. Again, you're talking shows that are literally 3 hours, 4 hours apart in distance.
Right.
Yep.
And these fans are showing up at all the shows.
I remember
all weekend.
There was a fan at one of the Sebring shows. He came from Jacksonville to Sebring. That's about a 4-hour ride, 5-hour ride, and he brought like a Lego set to give to Finn Balor. Like that's, yeah.
Oh, I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember
That's the passion that these fans have,
Does
which
Finn Balor like Legos?
Yes.
I think he loves
good.
building
Yes,
Legos.
he likes
Yeah.
Legos,
So
yeah.
it was on.
But see, the fan knew that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That fan knew.
Yeah.
He's like,
You
can you
know,
please make sure it gets to him? I was like, sure, and
Yeah. So I've got my own experiences with this, and I really love that you guys are bringing up these things because it's making me remember all of them. But I'm going to take this
Someone's
a little bit
getting
of a
emotional.
different way for myself. So it's kind of hard for me to sum up quite everything that I do with my job because it's a lot, and
It's a
I'm
lot of
forgetting
pieces
things.
that go into it.
Well, one thing that I do actually get to work with is actually WWE's partners, and so we work with a lot of the partners that WWE has, including Make-A-Wish. And yeah, that's a different side of the fandom that I get to see on a regular basis, and I'll never forget the first time I covered my first Make-A-Wish, and it was with John Cena, and just these kids I think we were in North Carolina maybe, and these kids had come from. It was definitely a country in the Middle East. It might have been Lebanon or somewhere way out. Just not anything you would have ever expected to hear when they said where they were from. And just seeing the reaction of when John Cena walked through the door and just all the faces in the room lit up. Everybody was smiling, laughing, telling jokes. It's incredible. It's some of the most touching things that you'll ever see, and I know they get their merchandise and everything, but I don't know if you guys ever get a chance to actually see the.
Unfortunately, no, but that's why we get your story from it.
Yeah.
we've got to be a part of a few of them too, though. On the live event side, going to hospitals,
Yeah.
sitting down, having these talent, superstars go and have conversations with these people. It's like. To me, that's why. I love it.
It's unbelievable.
It's a great, it's a great feeling, putting smiles on people's faces.
We can even go as local stuff with the polar plunge.
Yeah.
So I was Aquatica, SeaWorld,
Yeah,
where they do
Aquatica.
that. And they can explain the event more, but the fact that our talent's having just as much fun. They want to have the chance to spend time with these fans and incorporate some of the things, like their personality, so they can actually meet these people. But that was one of the cool ones that I've seen. I was never there in person, but watching on social media, I was like, man, I wish I was there.
Yeah, I had to take pictures for that one, and I actually had to get in the water to get them running into the water. No, I didn't like that one. That was cold, man. That water was like 30.
From the other side.
That water was like 35 degrees. I'm only knee
water.
high, and they're running straight into it, and I'm just like, no, thank you. Like, get me
How
out.
do we not have any photos of you in the water?
Knee high, like I'm all dressed up at Aquatica. Everybody's in a
Full
bathing
commitment.
suit, and I'm dressed up. I'm having up knee, my shoes up,
Teddy, were you
took
there
my
for
shoes
that?
off.
I was not there for that
How
one.
did we
were
not
working
get a
a show,
photo
right?
of you in the
Yeah, I
water?
think I was
though?
working.
We put it up
We
on
were
the
at it.
screen. It would have been fantastic.
No, we're good. I was the one taking the pictures. I wasn't,
We should have gotten a photo of that. That would have been so good. but again, and you bring that up, and again, it's that connection with the fans, you know. And in that case, it comes from a very altruistic place, you know. In that case, it's not about generating revenue, but I mean, Harrison, you said it, putting smiles on people's faces, and that's something that, you know, we just had WrestleMania here in Orlando, and during all of the events and the meetings and everything surrounding that, that was kind of the mantra that gets brought back up, because at the end of the day, it's entertainment. And, you know, here at Full Sail, we have students that are interested in so many different aspects of the entertainment business. And maybe sometimes we impress a little bit too much about how it's tough. It's competitive. Life on the road, if you're going to be on the road, is tough. There's, you know, 20 people at least that are waiting in line for your gig. As soon as you slip up, they would love to have that spot. But at the end of the day, it's about entertainment. It's about enjoyment. It's about what people choose to do with their disposable income, with their free time, whatnot. From the perspective of, we have so many students who, you know, are entrepreneurs. They want to start their own businesses. You guys have been part of a massive machine of entertainment. You know, we were joking before we started filming about how, you know, you guys work for the same company, but you could go months and never see each other. I mean, there are people that you probably never met and you may never meet, because it's such a massive production. And here we have students who are just looking to start up a business. So from the inside of a massive entertainment company, what's maybe a trait, a practice, a thought process, something you could relate from being in this massive machine that you would tell somebody who's just trying to start up an entertainment business?
You have to stay motivated. At some point, I don't care if it's schooling, getting the job of your dreams, realizing it's the job of your dreams. There's going to be a point, creating your own business, you get that loan, you came up with your name. It's going to be a point where you're just going to be like, what am I doing? I'm down on myself. There's all these responsibilities. You have to remember why you're doing it and the passion behind it of what is going to keep me driving to go forward. It's just as much as where we were talking about a super fan. Well, if that's taking the time to realize, hey, I did make it. I'm where I want to be. Now I'm going to continue to go forward. It's, if you're starting your own job, like, hey, I always want to have my own company. There's probably going to be a lot of battles you didn't expect. But remember why you did it. That is the most important that I see, is why am I here? Why am I doing this?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so for me personally, in my own personal experience, I would definitely say just don't be afraid to be different. I know that's something that maybe a lot of people say, maybe they don't, but I mean, I think I'm a prime example of, you know, don't be afraid to be different. Don't be afraid to try and stand out, because it might not always be the best option for you, but somebody's going to see it, and the right person might see it, and it's all about right place, right time. And if you make those things line up with the hard work, it'll pay off. I mean, that might sound cliche, but it's true, guys. It really is.
To build off that real quick, before I forget, not one person in here, or not one person that I have worked with on the road has the same story of how they got there. The number one question that we all get, anyone gets, hey, man, how can I get a job in the WWE? Look, man, I really don't know, because everyone has a different story. There's no, you create your own road. So like he was saying, don't be afraid to be different. I think it was a great thing to build upon, because my story is different. All of a sudden I look around, he's on the road. Hey, man, how'd you get here? I don't know. How'd you get here? Well, I don't know. We're together. Yay! You got to create your own path. I don't mean to cut anybody off, but
No.
I think that was a great point that he brought up.
I'll go to more of like the school side of it. I'm sure every one of you, I don't know what degree programs you guys are all in, but everybody has an idea of what they want to do, you know, and they want to focus on that, focus on that, focus on that. Make sure you learn almost every aspect of your industry that you can. I didn't know I wanted to work in live events. Like, I've always thought of me as a salesperson. You know, I want to do sales. You know, live events kind of is like that, you know, but make sure you're learning. I need to learn social media. Like, I can't stand it. Ask him, I can't stand to take a picture or post or like or tweet and stuff, but I understand that I need to use that. So make sure that you are trying everything that you possibly can. Don't have a one mind where it's like, I just want to work in social media. That's all I want to do. I don't want to do anything else. Like, learn sales, learn marketing, you know. You want to learn everything as much as you can, because in the end of the day, we've all done it. I mean, I've done merchandise for him. You know, I've done social media, you know, for these shows when we didn't have a social media guy, you know, on the road at these smaller shows in NXT. I've done box office. I've scanned tickets still. Like, you got to make sure that you learn every part of the business that you can, because it's really going to help you, further down the road.
Yeah, Harrison's definitely right, guys. I'll never forget when I was interviewing for my position now, one of the guys in the social media department asked me, he said, did you ever have an aspiration to work in social media when you were at Full Sail? And I was very honest, and I said, no, sir, I did not. But I had a lot of experience working with the initiative with Harrison and Teddy, and it ended up being something that clicked for me, and it just seemed to work out. So you never really know. You could stumble on something while you're here, and it can just gel for you guys. Just don't count anything out. Don't count anything out.
Oh,
What I was going to say is, you have to be, you're coming to Full Sail, and want to get in the entertainment industry, especially if you want to start your own business. Is not only you have to be passionate about it, but you also know, to jump off what Casey said, make sure you know why you're doing it, and that if you're not, like, if you're looking at your bills or whatever it is, make sure that, there's not just a feeling behind it, but would you, if you were doing something else, would you be happy? No? Okay, then this is why I'm doing this. Make sure that you have, there's not necessarily not a fallback plan, but would I be happy doing something else? Or is this where I want to go? Like, for me personally, I came here because I wanted to get in the entertainment industry. I was working telecommunications, I was working retail. I was not satisfied. I was happy, but I wasn't satisfied. And I wanted to get in this industry and go after my goals, go after my, my dreams, and make some, and be satisfied. So for those that are starting out their own business, make sure as Casey said, make sure you know why you're doing it, and it's for the, the right reasons and whatnot.
Also, you probably heard it from all of your professors, but if you don't like long hours,
Yeah.
good luck.
Yeah. Long
because
hours.
like they've told you, they're sometimes working 12 to 15, hours a day. So get ready for that. That's fun.
But again, taking this into consideration, I had no idea I was going to get into merchandise. No idea who's going to social media. No idea who's going to sell tickets. No idea who's going to be a manager of a region. It was never something that was on a direct path or a plan. Kept our options open.
Yep.
Kept an open mind to do whatever we had to be done. I think that's one thing that is kind of missing. And sometimes when someone's like, well, why wasn't I considered for this? Or how much time did you put into it? Were you open to put anything in it? Were you open to rip tickets? Were you open to help the old lady to her seat? Were you open to just hear the guy have to get off his chest that he's not happy about the young girl ahead of him jumping up and down cheering? Are you willing to take all the steps to open your own business, to create your own industry, to be part of a corporation? Are you willing to put your whole self into it? I think that's something you have to ask yourself as well.
I just want to tag on to this and throw this out there because this came up recently. Because obviously we still have the initiative here at Full Sail, and there was a person who's in the initiative who had just joined, brand new, right? Worked their first show, and wrote me an email and said, Mr. Woodward, I'd like to speak to you about the show. And I honestly had to look up the person's name. That's how new they were. I didn't even know who they were. I was like, are they on the initiative? Who is this person? This person came in, and his complaint to me was at the very first show he ever worked, he was told to number the chairs. It was a small venue.
We've all done it.
It was Palatka or something like that.
We've all done it.
And he was told on his very first show, very first day, listen, take these piece of papers. We got to number the rows. They need to be numbered 1 through, number the chairs. And this student, and I'm not going to name the student because the student has since learned, but the student was complaining, well, this is a misuse. I have done, and he started to rattle off shows he had worked, places he had worked, people he knew, things he had done in his life so far. And I listened to him, and I took it all in, and I said, okay, how many WWE events have you worked? Mm-hmm. And he kind of looked at me, and he said, none. I said, okay, that means this was day 1 for you. And everything you did in the past may have been very impressive, but sometimes you got to pay your dues. You have to take the opportunities that come with you, and you have to make the most of it. And yes, sometimes that includes the grunt work. Mm-hmm. I don't think anyone in attendance, I don't think anyone watching online is sitting there going, my dream is to number chairs in Palatka. That's my goal in life, is to say, I was the person that put the numbers on the chairs. Of course it's not. But as you guys just mentioned, you have to be open to doing that, because no one is going to let you show up on day one at WWE and go, Anthony, I don't know you. I've never met you before. Today's your first day here. But here's a camera. Go get John Cena and do some videos, okay? And let me know when you're done. Cool? You know, or, hey, you know what? I've never met you before. It's your first day, but you know what? Here's a ton of cash and, you know, a truck full of WWE merchandise. You're going to take care of that for us, right? No, that just doesn't happen. You know, so I'm really glad you guys brought that up. The fact that, yes, you kind of take what comes, take the opportunities, and then make the most of them. And eventually, you work your way up to where you're running the box office, to where you're handling the marketing scheme, where you are taking the videos and the pictures, where you are handling thousands of dollars in cash right in front of you and the merchandise and everything else. So I want to see if we have any questions online yet, or if we have any questions here in the audience. So if anybody has a question, raise your hand. These guys are pretty open. They'll answer just about anything.
Might not like what you hear.
Literally. You may not like the answer. I may not like the answer. But I think we have our lawyers on standby too, just in case. So we have a first question right over here.
The atmosphere that you guys say WWE set for the audience, how do you think WWE set that audience throughout the time that they had started?
I think they built their fan base on staying loyal to their product. I think the wrestling industry changes, but even if it was the Attitude Era, the PG era, his ECW eras, I don't know if anybody knows, he can go into his stories too.
We're not bringing up ECW, are we?
I think it's staying true to your business. They have a business plan, and they don't shy from it. I mean, and you can continue on from the social media aspect. It's presenting what it is. I'll never forget, I was actually in that exact seat, and there was a session going up here, and it was actually Triple H, Michael Cole, one of the writers, and it was before taping. That's how lucky we got, because we had Triple H to be able to come up here. And it was right when the network was about to open. So, of course, I did the same thing. You got to, you know, you're intended, you got to ask a question, right? It's got to be an educated question. So I'm thinking I got a question.
You asked for a job, didn't you?
I thought about it. No, not that time. So as the network was coming out, and I basically asked, with the network coming out at, I said $10, and I got corrected really, really fast with it's $9.99. Do you think attendance is going to drop? Because now people get, for pay-per-view, it's cheaper for a family to watch at $9.99 compared to drive the hour, buy the tickets. So do you expect to see any kind of drop? Answer I got straight from Triple H was, have you ever been to one of our events? I think that speaks for itself. They put on a show, and it's a standard they set, and they're not going to go below the standard.
Yeah, I agree. Like Harrison was saying earlier, you know, it doesn't matter if you're at Crystal River, 70 people show up, or if you're at Madison Square Garden and you sell out the house. Those guys still put on the same show. They give the same amount of effort, and they do the same, like, great spots every week. And it's just amazing to see that they don't slow down. It doesn't matter how many people are out there, because they want to put on the best show for everybody. I mean, really, that's what it's all about. Give the people what they want.
I kind of piggyback off what Casey said. Like, they stay very consistent on, you know, their brand. Their brand doesn't change. It doesn't different one day and then different the next day. It's not different for SmackDown or different for Raw. You know, their brand, you know, you need to keep your brand true, and you need to keep to make sure that, like, your fans are enjoying everything.
I think of it as it's catered to everybody. Like that, you say, like, how do they get their fan base? Well, everybody is their fan base. You know, from kids to grandparents, young adults. You know, everybody is their fan base. There's no segment that's just, we're just catering to this audience. Catering to all, WWE's catering to all audiences. And like for me, you know, I watch as a kid, and then, you know, at Prolong, or what, you know, as a young adult, now as an adult and whatnot. For my family, it was, we all watch it together. And then as we get older, like, you know, say if there's, you know, a younger sibling, they start watching. And then if they have children, they start watching. And it just becomes a cycle. So it's just a family-oriented event, you know, and with the exception of, you know, the Attitude Era, it's always been about families, and it's always been about catering to everybody.
you mentioned atmosphere, and it's funny when you asked that question. What I thought about was, a few weeks ago, WrestleMania. And I don't know if anybody here was in attendance at WrestleMania or not, but it was massive to see a football stadium full of people, to see a stage bigger than a skyscraper, to see the ring, the set. It was so much larger than life, and to see that atmosphere. And then a few days later, an NXT show with a handful of people, maybe 50 people, maybe 60 people in an armory, no fancy lights, no big, huge special effects. It's the same company, it's the same business, it's the same audience. I don't think there's too many businesses that operate on that kind of a scale, but yet they're delivering to the same audience and they're doing the same smiles on people's faces. And that, I think, is another just unique aspect of WWE, that they bring that atmosphere to 80,000 people in a football stadium, millions watching on pay-per-view, 50 people in an armory, where every person can yell loud enough that the people in the ring can hear them, which I think is fascinating. Then we have another question. Where was the next question? Right over there? Yep.
Hi, the name is Isa. I'm doing the entertainment business program. I really need to know, what are some of your lowest moments and how did you overcome them, or what are some of the things you did to make it turn it to an advantage for yourselves?
Wow, that's a tough question. My lowest moment had to be when I had to ask Harrison to come do this, because Harrison talks a lot, and I was worried he was going to ruin the whole thing.
I haven't yet.
You probably didn't mean me. Anyway, that's a damn good question.
Yeah.
Everybody always goes high point, high point, high point. She's asking the opposite. She wants to know what was the low point, and it looks like Casey and Harrison are both going to talk at the same time.
Oh,
so
yeah, I have
flip
one.
a coin. Who's going to talk
I
first?
got two.
Okay, go ahead.
We'll start in an aspect. There was a time here at Full Sail, I had struggled juggling a lot of things at one time. I had great guidance that led me to what my original pitch was: remember why you're doing it. And that's what helped me continue to strive to have a goal. I'll never forget, my dad was always like, so what's your goal? What's your 3-month goal? What's your 5-year goal? I don't have a goal. I'm waking up and I'm getting dressed, and hopefully McDonald's still got 99-cent double cheeseburgers. I don't know. To where once I've had responsibilities in my aspect, I now have a son, I had to remember to stay on track. It could be self-pride. You could be doing it for a parent. You could do it for, do it for kids. But when it gets down to that low, you have to be able to dig deep too, to be, hey, why am I doing this? Secondly, my second year in, I did not work WrestleMania. Crushed me. I did not get to work Dallas. I'm still a low man on the totem pole. I don't even know I got him beat. It's just the way it worked out. It took a lot out of me to have to sit there in Dallas. I watched it on the network. I sat there and didn't want to watch it, but I remember I was still part of it. The whole year leading up to that, I was still part of it. And guess what? That next day, I had to fly out and work Raw. So all because something goes wrong, there's still that next day to happen. And you're in control that next day. You're in control of whether you're going to mope around or you're going to light a fire under your butt and show why I was at this Orlando WrestleMania. I think you got to use sometimes your down as motivation at the same time.
So I have kind of two as well, one personal and then one at an actual event. When you sign up for the NXT marketing coordinator, I was fortunate, enough to, volunteer my time for around a year while I was at Full Sail, worked as many shows as I possibly could. Very lucky that they wanted another marketing coordinator, and I got the opportunity to work it. We signed a 9-month contract. That's it. If, sometimes if your 9 months are up and you're done. Right after I finished in May, and I didn't have a job. I got to work for this brand. I put everything, I gave. I did everything I could to try to, stay with the company. But at the time, there wasn't an opening. You get down, you're applying to 50 to 60 jobs a day, and you're not hearing back. and you're like, you know, I worked hard, I gave it my all. Why am I not still with the company? Now, lucky something opened up, and I was fortunate enough to interview and, you know, got the job, and I'm more blessed than I could ever imagine. But I mean, there's times where you're going to be down, like personally, and everything seems like it's going wrong. And like Casey said, if you don't sit there, and it's either sink or swim. So either I'm going to sit there and cry about it and be upset, or I'm going to get better and keep trying. And you know, I got fortunate to have a couple other interviews with other companies, and lucky enough to stay. But you know, it was tough working, you know, giving your all for almost 2 years, and then it's just like, well, thank you, you know. But that's the way it works sometimes. Now, when it comes to problems on the show, my first ever Orlando show, we have a new venue, 500 people coming to it, one of the biggest events I've worked. My computer decides not to work, so I can't sell a single ticket. So I got 500 people standing in line, and the computer system just decided to shut down. So I got a call. I'm calling this guy that's in Arizona, you know, on a Saturday, who obviously doesn't want to work. I'm sitting there sweating bullets and trying to be like, hey, can you fix my computer? And he's like, I don't know what to tell you. And I was like, seriously, dude? This is your system. So I made, there was 6 of us, and we kind of did it like a factory line, where one person would write the ticket, the other one person would take the money, and then the other person would look up the ticket.
Before there were computers.
Exactly. So, and then the other one would rip it, and I finally got the computer to work, and then printed out all 500 tickets, and I made people just sit there and scan each ticket. So live events, what I love about it, it's putting out fires. No show, nothing is going to go 100% the way that you wanted it to. So you better sure to have plan A through Z, you know, and ready to go when something like that, you know, happens.
Is that when the printer wasn't plugged in?
No,
That's my story. That's my story. Talk about a low point. My first day as the marketing coordinator was Citrus Springs. Citrus Springs, these guys know, there is no Wi-Fi, there is no signal, there is nothing out there. We set up the computer, and I'm taking the blame on it. Tickets weren't printing out. Same situation like him. Doors about to open, nothing. Okay, so we have to delay about 10 minutes or whatever for the doors to open. Turns out it was in the wrong plug, it was plugged in the wrong place, and it was like was it Wi-Fi or the connected, whatever it was. It was the wrong plug was plugged in the wrong place, and it was just, as soon as we fixed it, tickets start spitting out. I was like, of course, has to happen on my first day. It can't be a smooth, you know.
In fairness, you did not come to Full Sail for a technical program, so we never
Agreed.
actually probably
That's
taught
true.
you how to plug things in. So maybe that's
People
that's
know
on
this.
us.
People know this story because I was there, you know, and saw it on his first day, and I had to tell Casey.
We
And
got
tell
phone calls. The printer's not working. Is it plugged in? Yeah. You sure?
Oh, I called
then
and
phone
I
call
called
back,
Ticket
the printer
for
wasn't plugged in.
I called their ticket system, and they're having me uninstall the drive, reinstall the drive, doing all this extra work for the plug to be in the wrong spot.
But
Couldn't happen to a nicer
The printer
guy.
was tricky because even our
It was a tricky printer.
Well,
It had a
the guy-
plug.
well,
It
the
was
guy
made
that
in
should-
1988,
well, the guy
so
that
you know.
also should be, his name's Andrew Hines. So I'm gonna get him on his story too. He's got 2 on him just for him not being here. So it was at the time where the externship wasn't there yet, and there was opportunity for growth within the company. So it was about a 2 to 3 headed horse race, and we'll call him the district manager was down at one of the shows, and so they're all trying to impress. Same thing. Andrew loads the printer paper backwards. So right in front of the big boss, it's printing all wrong, and he starts freaking out. So, and then another story about the printer.
Those printers, man.
It's a printer. It's
the same
all
printer.
about the printer. You guys are all going to
Those
leave here
evil
going,
printers.
I need to know how to work a printer.
Yes,
There's
it's
nothing
one thing.
else.
We go to Tampa, and Andrew and I will flip a coin on who forgot it. We'll go with both of us now. We forget the printer, so we get inside. Everyone's like, so how are we going to print tickets? We just played off like, oh, yeah, printer. We're handwriting tickets today. It's a skill to see how well we can do. It's a test.
So you lied to everybody, too.
I think everyone saw right through it, though. I think they pretty much knew we forgot the
I
printer.
just love the fact that there are WWE fans right now who have handwritten ticket stubs. They probably don't realize how valuable that is to have a handwritten
That's the
ticket
next seat
stub.
printer. That's
And of course, we're mentioning Andrew Hines, who, of course, also former NXT marketing coordinator. I don't know what his title is now.
Still NXT coordinator.
Head
Marketing
muckety
manager.
muck
I think
of
marketing
something.
manager.
Else.
Marketing
NXT
manager
marketing
for NXT.
manager. He was originally slotted to join us. Unfortunately, he's actually in the United Kingdom right now, working for WWE
Darn.
on tour. So we're going to bring him in at some point. And when we bring him in, I think we'll just put him on stage alone.
I agree.
And we'll let
Yeah,
you
there you
guys
go.
all sit in the front row.
Ask a lot of
And you can
questions.
just have Adam about printers and everything else. I don't know if we have any more questions from online right now. We do have an online question. So we have a couple of them. So here we go. We've got some online questions. So let's get the first one.
I have a few students asking, would it be possible for online students to become involved? Internship opportunities?
See, I knew somebody was going to set me up with that one, so I'm going to take that one because it's
You've
my
said it 100
department.
times.
And I've said it many times. Are there opportunities for online students with the WWE NXT Student Initiative? Yes, there is. However, you have to be able to be physically present at the NXT events. As they just mentioned, the duties for the Student Initiative at the live events are running the box office, are running the merchandise stand, or doing the live social media setups at the events, or setting up chairs, or sometimes working really as customer service, or selling merchandise. These are all positions you have to be physically present for. I know we have a lot of Full Sail students all over the planet. I just got an email the other day from New Zealand from a student actually that wanted to get involved. Unfortunately, the positions in the student initiative right now are for students that are physically present at events. So while in the future, maybe there's something we could do with social media where we can have online students involved in some capacity. Right now, the positions in the student initiative are for students who can physically be in Central Florida to attend the events live. So sorry if that's a downer, I know for some people. So question right here, and then we'll go back online after that. So.
All right. My name is Frank Zamora. I'm with the Creative Writing Program. And my question is, obviously you all started in the student initiative. There's some accommodations budget-wise with the travel and the road schedule. How different is it to go from traveling with a group that's pretty much sponsored by the university to budgeting yourself on the road, having to take care of your own expenses, et cetera?
Yeah, no more gas and Chili's receipts getting turned in, right? Or
I'll
how
tell you in
does that-
6 months. I don't know yet.
How does that work for you guys now with your road expenses? That's a great question.
It was an adjustment period just to, I wouldn't say self-attain, but to actually get a system involved of how, from when the paycheck comes in to, WWE does great so for the way it kind of works, without getting too much detail, plane tickets, all that is based through one system. Now, through that same system, you can book your hotels, cars, and that will WWE will pay for automatically. Merch is we got a little different to where they'll take care of the plane tickets, hotels, and car we expense. So the company itself they'll tell you, hey, if you spent this for us, we'll take care of you. It's more getting used to a system of, okay, so I did this week, you're paying me back for this in 2 weeks. Hope that paycheck comes in to keep going. But to flip that to working, there's not much difference. This was my family for a while on the road. Yes, I might not see Anthony that much, but on the road as a social media producer, whether 4 of you guys, 5 of you guys?
5.
5. On the road for WWE merch, there's 5 of us. The only reason why we don't see each other that much is because there's that many shows. One of the biggest misconceptions of WWE is really how big it is. Yes, corporate is huge. You got this nice, beautiful office in Stanford. You got a warehouse. You have people at this PC. But on the road, what are you, 90%? You see the same people?
I'm by myself always with my team.
Especially with our NXT.
Well, that sounded sad. I'm by
I'm
myself.
alone.
Well, it's not meant to be
So
sad.
especially on the NXT side, that's not here in Florida, but our next one coming up in Bel Air. I should know these because I'm flying to them. What's that, the Bel Air? Poughkeepsie. No, there's one in between there. Anyways, with that, other than the production crew, that it's still their same 5 that could rotate, it's still me and Andrew, and Anthony will come in social media, or another social media. It's still this family atmosphere where, yes, we started off putting numbers on chairs, ripping tickets. But you've learned that you can work with each other. You've learned that when stuff hits the fan, hey, this guy's going to take care of his own, and if he's asking for help, he really needs the help. So on the working aspect, it's still small culture on the road. It's still a family on the road. Money-wise, yeah, let's hope that paycheck comes. But once it starts coming, WWE does take good care of you.
Yeah, I can totally agree with that. I can speak to, I come from quite a bit different background. I don't know Casey's full background, but I'm assuming I probably come from a little bit of a different background than him. So when all the travel, dealing with my own travel and dealing with my own expenses, all of that stuff was something I didn't really take into consideration before I expected the job. And I'm not going to lie, it kind of, kicked me in the butt a little bit in the beginning. And once I figured it out, then like Casey said, you come up with a nice plan, you get yourself situated, and that's it. Like you just got to come up with what works for you, because not everybody's going to do the same thing. Let's say there's a show in New York and then we have to drive to Chicago or something crazy like that. Well, Casey might want to sleep that night and drive the next morning, but I might want to drive that night. And WWE thankfully gives us the opportunity to pick and choose what works for us, and it's great. It really helps out a lot.
Yeah, and it's funny, you mentioned that, and the first thing I thought about was, I know so many people who, the first time they get on the road, for them it's the first time they've really kind of gone outside of their hometown sometimes, or maybe their hometown other than college life, and the pitfalls of, oh, I'm in Chicago. Well, while I'm in Chicago, I need to do this and this and this and this.
Nope.
Oh, I'm in New York. Well, I'm in New York. I want to go see this and see this and see this. And next thing you know, you are broke.
Yes.
Because you're working, and yes, you get to travel and see a lot of great places, but you got to also remember, I'm not a tourist, I'm not on vacation, and eventually my money will run out if I'm eating at 5-star restaurants and trying to buy tickets to baseball games every time I'm in all the time.
It's not even broke, you're tired.
Yeah.
I was last summer my thing was, I'm going to fly in. If the company approves, I'll come in the day early for a show. I'm going to see baseball games. I got to 3-4 stadiums. I didn't try that at all this summer. Right? You're tired. You learn that there's perks to traveling, but then again, it is your job. So like Mr. Warren said, you don't always have finances available. So it's the same as being a college student. Is it, if I go spend this out at Ale House, am I going to have food in my fridge for the next day? It's that same, if I go spend this on all these comic books, am I going to be able to buy my book I need for class? It's just it's becoming an adult. And then from there, weighing out your options.
So I believe we have another question from online right now, so we're going to take that.
I got a question. Do any of the guys up here do any of the design work? Where do those inspirations come from, if you do?
Well, I know one person designed something once, which I thought was pretty damn awesome. But artistically, I don't know if there's any talent really up here.
Artistically, no, I can't really draw a straight stick figure to save my life. Again, we have a guy on the road. The WWE is very department-based, from social media, merchandising, live events. You have creative writers. Then you have TV side. There's so many of them. So the actual the merchandise side, the actual concept. We have one guy on the road, and he works mainly hand in hand with John Cena, and then all the other talent from there. But hand to hand with him. So how a concept will come, they'll talk, they'll come up with some ideas. I had one insight on one shirt on that side, which it stayed, so I was proud of it. And then from there it gets submitted to creative. Creative from there normally has the final say, because they're the ones of the superstars make sure it fits their mantra, and fits their character. What I got to be involved in is, as I was doing this internship volunteer group here, I also got a job with Orlando Magic. They had a merchandise opening, and that'd be something to go forward if we can finish up is, I'd say, use every opportunity you have, because you never know how it can blend together, to where the concept of a cross-branding between sports and wrestling seemed very realistic. Presented the idea. Royal Rumble was in Orlando 2 years ago. because of my contacts with Orlando, also the contacts with WWE. They really like this cross-branding idea. For the pay-per-view, we did a cross-branded Orlando Magic Royal Rumble shirt. I can definitely say, and on my resume, I had a part to do with that. So on that aspect, yes, talent side, like I said, we have an actual position for that. And again, you have it in the corporate side and on the road side for merchandise. But in the vinyl end, creative gets the final say to make sure it's character-based. We'll go with that.
It was a really cool shirt. He's kind of underselling it. It was a blue Orlando Magic shirt with the Royal Rumble logo and the Magic logo on it. And since then, other NBA teams.
We've done Boston, Washington. We've changed a couple other ones. But yeah, it's kind of continued on.
Yeah.
Did it for Mania this year. You had a couple that kind of looked.
I mean, it was
It's
awesome.
continued on.
So I have a surprise question
Oh, geez.
here on my phone that nobody knew was going to happen, but it has happened right now, live via text. I have a question for Casey.
Oh, geez.
It's from Megan Gonzalez,
I knew they
who
were
is
watching.
the NXT marketing manager who oversees all of the things that the NXT brand does here in Central
She's watching
Florida.
live.
She would like to ask a question. She says, "Dear Casey, when is your stuff getting picked up?"
So see, I have down
You
here.
called it. They were watching.
I told you they would.
I knew they would.
I want $1 too.
See, and they're recording you. So is this about pallets or
Pallets,
something?
yeah, so-
Explain to our audience what this is.
So it's, again, merch life, there's always stuff going on. Again, that's one thing of any department you get into. There's always stuff going on. And two, for WWE, if you ever have any interest of working with WWE, if you have light skin, please do not apply. Because this, again, it is very much a family to where she texts.
She's texting during the session to bust your chops
Long
about
story
you.
short, we had to clean up our merchandise trailer, and I have all this stuff to ship back. And it's probably been sitting on pallets for going on maybe a month or so. To where this guy gets shipped back, and I keep telling him every Thursday for about a month now. I think eventually they're going to probably just set it on fire. But for now, I think they thought it was coming today. We're going to try again next week for Thursday. So between 10 and 2.
So this is not an example of good corporate communication right now. If we've got texts coming in asking you questions.
Use all means to get your questions across. And so that we have open lines of communication. I think that's what it shows.
Yes,
Is that
very open. So I believe we have a question right over. Oh, it's in the back. In the back there. Yes. And the microphone's traveling. I thought you already had the microphone back there. So microphone is coming in, and we got one more question.
I just had a question about I plan on doing TV production once for the WWE. Like, what all do I need to do? Like,
Well, you need to talk to Dave Arias is what you need to do here at Full Sail. Obviously, we're the student initiative side, we're the marketing, we're the social media side. But we also have, and again, I should probably stress this out because we haven't been, there's more than one part to this WWE Full Sail relationship. You know, the student initiative that these gentlemen were a part of is one segment of the relationship. Another segment is the work that the production crew, you know, Dave Arias and his crew do in producing the NXT TV show, which is produced here at Full Sail. Those are the guys that run the cameras, run the cables, you know, the live event crew too, which sets up the lights. And if you've never seen the NXT product, it is visually amazing to see on the network and live. So that's who you need to talk to. I'll be happy to get you an email address after this session. So there you go. It's the whole get me in there.
But no,
see?
but with that though, one, you're doing the right thing. You're here, because now you have the opportunity to ask that question. Not everyone that even takes that first step. Again, off our guy Andrew Hines, we were sitting in Mr. Woodward's class, and it got presented that a recruiting meeting was going on. Andrew has no following in wrestling. Like, even as a kid, it's not there. He's more on the Harrison level. To where I looked at him, he looked at me, I was like, let's just go to this and let's learn about it. He's like, I don't know. I was like, well, we got to do something while we're here. No matter what you want to do, you have to take the chances and keep learning about it. And off that, find out about Dave Ayers, they have opening, but at the same time, maybe learn about the initiative group. I will go on the road at times, and I will set the production table. It has nothing to do with me. I'm like, can I just get a headset? Because I want to learn. I want to learn how the show works. I want to learn what they're calling lights for. I want to know why he's running around with the camera coming up. So learn everything you can. Get as much information as you can, and just don't pigeonhole yourself. That'd be my biggest advice. Don't be like, well, this is my direct route, because again, none of us are in the position we thought we'd start in. So you thinking TV productions now, but start with a wider umbrella, and then let it kind of fall into place from there. Give yourself, learn as much about the industry as you can, and see where it takes you. That would be my advice.
You mean show initiative?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad pun. Bad pun.
If any student here should be looking into getting into the NXT Student Initiative, it's a heck of a resume builder. You know, it helps you, down the line applying for, jobs, and it gives you some hands-on experience. Obviously, none of us would be here today in front of you guys without it. So, I highly recommend. And we have plenty, of people. I still say we. I'm not even the marketing coordinator for them anymore. But we have a lot of people that do not only Spark, the production side of it, but also with the student initiative. Like Casey said, they do both, so they're learning every aspect of the event. Like I'm always, asking how they do sound and all that stuff, like just to get an idea, because it's actually part of the event. So I mean, if you guys want to learn about events and stuff like that, and you want something on your resume, definitely talk to Mr. Woodward, about maybe joining the student initiative to learn box office, social media, merchandise, and all that stuff, because it really impacted all of our lives.
And then it's gonna come to you. There's some people that are now on the production side that started off doing some stuff on the initiative side that I'd have lost a lot of money betting on that they would have been able to get on. But yet they took their own route. They took their own way to do it. And however they did it, it worked. So it's such a hard question to answer because, again, like I said, not two stories are the same in this company that I know of. And you guys know any two stories the same of how anyone got in?
No.
I mean, I was the same with Casey, where I went to the meeting. Woodward didn't tell me about it, which is that.
I was trying to keep you out.
Yeah, I can
honestly,
tell. He didn't tell me about the student initiative. I didn't find out till like 6 months later.
I tried to keep you out.
I know, but I mean, I had somebody's like WWE NXT, and my first was, what is that? Like, I know what WWE is, but what is NXT? When I learned about it, I researched it, and I researched about the program. I'm like, heck, I might not be a fan, but this is a heck of an opportunity to just get my hands dirty and learn the industry. And yeah, it stinks that you have to drive to Jacksonville sometimes and you're not getting paid and you're scanning tickets and you're working for a free lunch, but you have to start somewhere. I mean, we all did it here, and it was obviously the best decision of my life was to join the student initiative.
Yeah, another thing that people won't really tell you also is, if the end goal for you specifically is production, like TV production with WWE, the end is going to be in Stamford. And that's something that you have to ask yourself whether you're willing or not to commit to, because not a lot of people are going to tell you that kind of stuff. But yeah, the TV production studio is in Stamford, and you got to put yourself in the right place. And if you're not willing to make that journey for yourself, you're going to come to an impasse. And it's really something that you need to figure out for yourself. This is a great way to get started with the initiative, but once you're graduated, you're off on your own, and you really, it's up to you to take that next step and put yourself where you need to be.
You mean you have to go freeze your butt off in Chicago,
You
like
do.
I'm about to do?
He's going to Chicago.
Born and raised in Orlando, okay? One of the few. I like my hot, 90 degrees. I am going to be interested in
Now you're going to freeze.
Yeah.
But you're going to love it.
I'm
while you're
going to
freezing.
love every second of it.
I think we got time. We'll take one more online question before we wrap things up here today. So one more online question.
I got kind of a two-parter. Is that okay?
Yeah, two-parter works. We can do a two-parter.
We don't talk.
Students interested in web development, they were wondering if there are any other students that got hired on to WWE specifically for web development, or how to get involved otherwise.
Well, to get involved, obviously, step one is finish your education here at Full Sail. Number two, and really we should point this out because we haven't been giving them any love here, the career development department here at Full Sail. We have people working hand in hand with WWE that are basically steering the graduates in there with the job opportunities, getting that resume pushed up the pile, so to speak, and those opportunities. For web development, there has at least been 3 students who, and I could be wrong, I'm doing this from my head, who have gotten involved in positions with the website or with developing some of their content. You have to, again, remember, WWE has such a massive online presence. between the website, social media, the network itself. There's a lot of people working in that, and there's a lot of opportunity there. Obviously, the best way, though, is, as these gentlemen just said, number one, keep your eyes and mind open to opportunity, finish your education, and then make sure you stay in touch with career development, because they're the ones that are going to help steer you in for different positions and different opportunities. I don't know if there's anything more you can add from the web standpoint.
I think you hit it, but it's you taking the initiative to reach out to reach out to the initiative. Like, hey, so this is what I'm interested. You have to take the first step. I could sit here and say anything. These guys can say anything. You have to take that first step. So, yes, you're already asking the question. What research can you do yourself? Who can you reach out to? Like, I'm sure before we leave here, Mr. Woodward could give you a name to reach out to. All because we don't have every answer doesn't mean there's answers not available other ways. You have to not say, well, I tried. Well, what else can you do next? Don't just stop. What can you do next? And that would be my best advice is, I know you guys were a little bit more involved of hands-on with the group.
Yeah, like you said, kind of, Career Sync and, and the team, Mr. Woodward said, is really helpful. Go get in touch, see what they have. They know, a lot of WWE employees. Make sure, you do your research before you go out. I have a lot of people that reach out on LinkedIn and message me like, how do I get a job with the company? I mean, what do you want to do? Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know anything about you. I mean, go in with an idea of what you want to ask. Like, hey, I see that you went to Full Sail. You're with WWE. Always, loved it. Can I sit there and, ask you a couple questions? I'm going to take time out of my day to be like, sure, like, what would you like to know? But just coming out and going, hey, like, can you get me a job? It's...
Well, yeah, it doesn't start there, right? You have to have a little dent. We are up at the end of this session. This has been phenomenal. Again, we're really up on the end of this session right now. I just want to say one thing right now. When we started the student initiative 5 years ago, no one knew what this group was going to do. There was no real plan. It was just, here's some students, let's do something with WWE and this NXT thing and see what we can come out with. There was no merchandise being sold. There was no social media being recorded by students. The box office was not being run by students. Everything that the student initiative does now at these NXT events throughout Central Florida is because of the work, the effort, and the passion that these guys and those that have worked alongside them for the last 5 years have done. They've basically been Lewis and Clark, the pioneers out there, and they've set the stage for a tremendous amount of opportunity for Full Sail students. Because there were a lot of people in the beginning, what are we doing? Where is it going? Don't know. These guys took and I'm going to use the pun again, took the initiative and made this thing grow to where there is so much opportunity now for students. So publicly, thank you guys for coming here and doing this and for setting the stage for so many other students to have opportunity. So thank you guys very much. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it. And have a good night.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're up, yeah.